Ben, pleasure to see you here today in Liverpool. Big card to end the year. You know, all being well, Tasha Jonas and Lauren Price will face off next year. That's what you'd like to see, but they've both got big tests this weekend. What do you make of the press conference and what do you make of the card?
Yeah, it was good. Not necessarily. And Ivana Harbazan told me off there, which I liked. You know, she's off because she's a world champion. She's in a unification. She's trained hard for this fight. She's been over here for 4 weeks. She's coming off career best wins. She's in the form of her life, and she's here to win. And she thinks she's going to catch an aging Natasha Jonas. So I liked what I heard, and I like that we got a real fight on Saturday night, and that's what this is. Lauren Price in with Bexy Mateus, also 7-0, 6 knockouts, more knockouts than Lauren Price. So 2 good fights, 2 great fights, particularly the main event in a unification. So you can't look beyond it. I think you've got 3 world champions out there with a lot of ego. You know, Natasha's the queen, if we're honest. Lauren Price is a gold medalist that has become world champion very early on, still not lost a round, believes the future is hers. And then you've got Ivana Harbazan, who's extremely experienced world champion in her own right. And so the only solution when you've got 3 fighters in the same weight division is to create a collision course, is to make sure that its winner stays on, is to make sure it's as fair as possible. And look, may the best woman win on Saturday night. And yeah, great for women's boxing.
Putting you on the spot here, obviously 2025 is right round the corner. 3 fights you'd love to make as a promoter and 3 fights you'd love to see as a fan.
3 fights I'd love to make. Bacoli Dubois.
Banger.
If Dubois can get through. Eubank Benn. There's a few. I'd love to see Fraser Clark, Johnny Fisher. I'd still love to see if Buatsi can beat Callum Smith, maybe become a world champion. Buatsi Yard is still a massive fight for British boxing. Adam Azim against Dalton Smith is another big fight that people have been calling for. Vidal Riley against Isaac Chamberlain is a great fight.
Not involving you, just as a fan you'd love to watch.
We're getting to see them all this year. We've seen Bibor Beterbiev, we've seen Fury Usyk. I'd like to see Canelo against Benavidez, always have done, don't think we'll ever see it. Maybe Tank against Shakur, don't think we'll see it. Because the ones and then I think Fury AJ, just as a boxing fan, would be good to see. So yeah, some big fights to make next year.
You mentioned Eubank, Conor Benn. I'm guessing your ears are just ringing from hearing those 2 names constantly at the moment. So Eddie wants 50-50, and at the moment Eubank and yourself, you're not prepared for that. But is it not going to come to a point where you risk losing a fight?
It's already come to a point. I've seen the reaction.
You don't want to lose out on this fight, though, do you?
I've done an unbelievable job to get Chris to be so generous to come down to 55. If Eddie was promoting Chris Eubank Jr, let's be straight, he'd be saying it's 70-30. He would be. It's an absolute fact. So it shows how reasonable I'm trying to be. It shows how much work we've done on our side. I think Chris is a moment away from saying no way to 55-45. So I think everyone can see. I don't want to bore the fans and talk about this and that. Like I don't think anyone's interested. I think people are interested when the fight gets made. But I've done everything and we've done everything on our side. If they want to be sensible, then the fight will get made. But it's very difficult because Eddie knows deep down I've done an unbelievable job to get Chris to 55%. Unbelievable, and I hope that he can do a good job on his side, and then the fight will happen.
Is it your call, the percentage, or do you have to get it approved by Chris?
Chris and Conor and most fighters these days are in control of their careers. Ultimately, they have to be happy with, otherwise they're not going to get in the ring. Is Chris happy? Not really with it. Is he taking advice of people around him that of the size and the scale of this fight? Yes. Is he therefore putting his ego aside to do that? Yes. And he's not done that in the past. So I'm not going to get him to go any further, and he's telling me, look, make the Lara fight now. He doesn't really care. I think the promoters care more because it's such a big fight. I think the reality is Chris Eubank Jr has made a serious amount of money in his career, hasn't won a world title, and there's an opportunity there. So it's difficult because as promoters, you want to do your best and make sure it happens, but ultimately, the Chris is in the position where he's ready to go on Lara.
Would it be sad for you to see that fight drift away into obscurity? That would be one that's got away. For you, for Eddie, for the fighters involved, the storyline writes itself. You could not market that fight and it still be one of the biggest fights in years.
Yeah, no, it's ready-made, ready to go, and that's why I think the whole Barrios thing, I don't want to say anything to make the fight not happen, but it makes no sense. But is it bluff?
You think he's trying to call you bluff?
I don't think there's anyone that with their mind straight that could seriously, given the offer that's gone in, and I know they've said, or someone said it was derisory, or it's probably 6 or 7 times, maybe more than 7 times the earnings of any other fight that Conor's had, and that's not me being disrespectful. Genuinely, I don't want to poke the bear because I want the fight to happen, but. Any man with a sound mind would say that has to be it's just incomparable what he gets for that fight and what he gets for fighting Chris Eubank Jr.
Honestly, from your perspective, you mentioned Eddie Hearn there. It's no secret you guys have been clashing a little bit this year. You're the new guy on the block, trying to trailblaze. You're a young guy in this promoting game. You're gonna shake the game up, you're going to ruffle some feathers. What's it been like working with him, honestly? Because at one point he was probably someone that you was looking up to, but now you're trying to be regarded as an equal in this game.
To be honest, it's not something that you really care about, because all you want to do is be able to make the fights. One thing that's good to come from the scenario is that we can make the fights and other fights are being discussed. Ultimately, coming in new and coming in young has been difficult at times, but we're here now. I think we've got to a stage where we can't be ignored, and that makes things easier, and now we're able to make fights. But yeah, nothing personal from me against any of them. I think it's been the other way. For me, all we want to do is continue to grow our business. For them, it's maybe not been the same. However, yeah, we've been speaking, we've met, getting on in the sense we can make fights, and it's. I'm glad that it's got to this stage because it's taken a while.
You feel like maybe next year things could grow between the three of you even further? You, Eddie, Frank. You've been working together. It's just those two are become besties now.
I hope so. I think at the end of the day, I think for fans it has made things interesting. I do sometimes think what would happen if everyone just got along. And
we'd have nothing to talk about, would we?
and I think, coming in new, people have enjoyed it. People have enjoyed seeing me getting pushed around. People have enjoyed seeing me getting threatened. That's what it's all about, and I don't mind it. I think at the end of the day, we're smart enough to realise it shows we're doing something right, but also it makes noise. It's not for the cameras. They have been as they have, and people have seen that this year, which is good, because sometimes when things aren't caught on camera, people don't see what's going on. But I think it's got to the point where there are fights to be made. People are getting on. We've been here a while now, and seems to be getting easier. And I hope it will follow with Queensbury. I know there's been a couple of things that have happened that have made that relationship at times slightly more difficult. But I do speak to George, and I feel that we have a good relationship, and I feel that we can make fights there. And yeah, I think next year. Look, if it's all happy families, as I say, it'll probably be very, very boring.
It would be.
But as long as we can make fights, that's what matters. Like, who gives a who's best mates? I don't give a I just want to be able to make the fights, make sure we can deliver for our fighters, and make sure boxing's in a great place.
Well said.